Welcome to This Team is Killing Us, a podcast about what the Carolina Panthers do to good people. I am Demetri and she is Lauren Brownlow. We are back in the studio this week for the first time in what feels like forever. And Lauren, what is killing me this week is apparently the only thing people want to talk about is how we can get less talent on this roster right now.
Well, I mean, look, I get it, right? Because like at a certain point with this team, the defense ain't getting any better.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to happen. It was already bad. It's gotten worse with injuries. We know where this defense is at. We understand that this offense is going to have to put up 80 million points to score touchdowns every time. No big deal, right?
Right.
Teams do that all the time. It's fine to have even like a chance to win.
Yeah.
We understand that. So we know that like the outlook is already bleak in terms of wins and losses.
Mm-hmm.
And so at a certain point, when you watch the same game every week, even though has it been more fun to see a better offense? Yeah, of course it has. But at the same time, it's like, if you have something that can get you something when this team already has so little, be it draft picks, because they still, by the way, the Bears have another pick this year.
Right.
I had forgotten that.
The second round pick that belongs to the Panthers actually belongs to the Bears.
Don't need those ever, do you?
No, right.
Those aren't important. Whatever. God, it's the worst. Well, it's not the worst trade. The Browns one is still. But, I mean, it's just like at a certain point you have to like look for, if you want to give, I know that it may not feel good in the short term to fans watching this year for certain moves to be made. We can talk about all of them, but like at a certain point, if you're making the personnel decisions, you have to look at it as like, okay, that's cool that they may not feel good about it, but they might feel worse about it next year when we're just as bad because I couldn't, because they're more hamstrung or whatever it is.
So let's talk about the specifics here. We have talked about the rumors surrounding what the Panthers should or should not do with Diontae Johnson. Feels like for the last couple of weeks on this show. But yesterday, and we are recording this on Wednesday the 16th, so on Tuesday the 15th, the Panthers opened up the 21-day practice window on Jonathan Brooks. That means Brooks is practicing with the team right now. It does not set a return date. He can return. He's eligible to return anytime between this coming game and Week 10. Week 10 would be literally the Sunday after the trade deadline passes. Okay?
Yeah.
So that has people speculating if Jonathan Brooks is coming back, is Chuba Hubbard expendable? Is he on the trade block?
See, this is one where my irrationality will get in the way a little bit. Because first of all, like, I think he's a different case than some people because he's not that expensive.
Right.
He's been here a while. He's been through the losing here. He clearly likes it enough to keep trying for some reason and keep trying his ass off constantly. He plays so hard still. And that matters to me. Like as a fan, I respect that and I appreciate it because Lord knows there are weeks I don't even want to watch.
Yeah, agree.
Play because it sucks my will to live, much less like him running in, getting hit, So I have an emotional attachment to him, admittedly. Do I trust Miles Sanders and Jonathan Brooks to like not completely suck what remains of my will to continue watching them? No, not necessarily. Do I trust Brooks to stay healthy? Not necessarily. Like, why would I?
Yeah.
Not trying to be like whatever about it, but
totally fair.
Sanders too has had his share of injury issues and gets banged up. Chuba has always been there, and he's not that expensive, so it doesn't really bother me to keep him.
Yeah, I'm with you. My point has always been, even with these guys like Chuba, like Diontae Johnson, who are not signed for next year, even if you are treating them like rentals, how much can you ask the fan base to tolerate in terms of nothing to be excited about, nothing to watch?
I'll say this. If they traded them both, I'd be upset. I would be very upset.
Okay, so I'm glad you bring that up because the Diontae Johnson speculation started a couple of weeks ago.
That one I may feel a little differently about.
Nobody seemed to like that was all social media chatter, right?
Well, and it was earlier in the season,
Sure.
right? So it was kind of like, okay, well, like there's still maybe something could go okay here.
Yeah. And I mean, like to your point, it was coming off of the quarterback change, and suddenly Deontay Johnson didn't look like a wasted move.
Exactly.
All right. So, but DaveCanales was asked directly about the possibility of trading Chuba Hubbard. I want to play you first, Lauren, what he said yesterday.
Okay.
And then I want to play for you something he said like less than 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Here's what he said yesterday. He was asked directly, does Jonathan Brooks coming back mean that Chuba Hubbard may be on the trading block?
Again, we just got to get Jonathan out there, see where he's at, take a good evaluation of him playing football, moving around with confidence, and then we'll make those decisions.
All right. Non-committal, but not a no, right?
I don't like that.
Okay. This is DaveCanales 11 days ago when asked
it's going to be a hard no, I bet.
What Chuba Hubbard's importance to this team is.
Chuba's got that balance of just that attacking style, the patient runs, the hard, ugly, short yardage ones, using his stiff arm, catching it out of the backfield. Just the attitude of, I just love it, man. And as long as I'm here, Chuba, guys like him are going to represent this offense and be a spokesperson without even having to say words for this team.
He's really summed up like literally how I feel about you.
And that is exactly what I thought about when I was listening to that.
That's why for me, that would be a harder move. For me personally than a Deontay Johnson, because Deontay Johnson, his contract is up after this year.
Right.
He is an unrestricted free agent, correct?
He is.
What planet would we all be living on to assume that even if the Panthers offered them a bunch of money that they don't have, that he would want to stay here? There's just no way. So like at a certain point, it's like, why not get some? You don't have a lot of pieces on this roster for a reason that have value. Yeah. Right? Like, why not try to get something out of one of them if you can before they just leave? Because they're going to leave. And does that make sense? Like
it does.
You could get something of value out of it, and like real value, not just like a fourth or like I would want. Yeah. I'm wanting at least a second out of that.
It does make sense what you're saying. I think that, I look at Chuba, right? And everything that you have been saying this whole year, everything that DaveCanales said in that second clip we just played, and knowing what it is Jonathan Brooks is coming back from. I understand
that's my thing.
Chuba Hubbard is probably looking at the fact that you drafted a running back in the second round.
Which I didn't like to begin with, as you know, because I was like, y'all have so many other needs. Why are you doing this?
Look, like and dislike is out the window. Let's talk about reality, right? You drafted a dude in the second round. The plan is not for him to be the spellback, at least not forever, right?
Right. Correct. So, that's true.
Chuba.
But where's Miles? When does Miles Sanders' contract up?
Yeah, because he still have 2 more years after this.
No offense, Miles. Like you agree with you're fine, but you can go.
There's a reason we had the conversation in the offseason about that being a prime candidate to cut, because the contract is not tradable.
Correct.
Right? I get that Chuba might net you something, and I think Chuba more than Deontay Johnson is the one you look at and go, well, what motivation does he have to stay? They've literally drafted his replacement, and he's 26. I guess will be 26.
That's a good point. But again, it's just like with as hard as he plays, and he's been here for so long now through all of this bullshit, and he continues to play this hard. Like for me, it's like, you know what? Maybe he would stay if he was offered something fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Lauren, this is why I look at.
Whereas Deontay just got here. Like he has no. And he's about to get a ton of money. He's not going to waste his career on this team.
Totally fair. And look, the NFL is not the NBA, right? Cap space is not one of these things that becomes a tangible asset the same way it does in basketball. But because of what you just said, the fact that this team is asking its fans over and over again to just accept that we're hitting restart. And look, they have had to. I totally get it. They have had to. I would much rather see DaveCanales continue to use Chuba Hubbard the way he has. Let Jonathan Brooks take the carries away from Miles Sanders.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
And next year, if you
just
can't keep
cut
Chuba,
Sanders,
if you cannot convince Chuba to move to the spell role, which you probably can't, enjoy the cap space.
I would hate it if he ended up in the spell role, but that's just all. I also have my doubt. I mean, I get like Brooks is whatever, but I don't.
Listen,
why do I know he's going to stay healthy? I don't know that.
think you ask Brooks to be that right away. I think keeping Chuba is so important to the chance of Brooks getting to what you think he can be.
100% agree with you. So I'm completely on board with you on that. And that's why I would be really disappointed if he ended up getting traded. And I also think you could get more for Deontay. I mean, he's looked fantastic. So
here's my question. So me and your buddy Nada, and I would say my buddy Nada too, but you know him way better, like we've met one time. We had an argument on Twitter, and I said, look, you can't.
It's the best place.
You can't. It's the only place. It's the only reason to use Twitter.
Yes.
I said, you cannot, like, Johnson feels infinitely untradeable right now, and it is because of what I just said. Like, how many times are we going to ask the fans to keep showing up for no hope?
They're not showing up, though.
Okay, so they're literally not. This is not his point. They are not, and if the offer is right, you got to take it.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yeah,
what is the right offer? And not a second round and another day 2 pick.
I wouldn't.
You both are crazy if you think that is what the offer is going to be.
Well, then we
just saw Devontae Adams move for a conditional third.
Well, that's to be fair. That was also because like there wasn't a whole. I mean, everybody knew.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no leverage there.
Not only was there no leverage there, like I think we saw his pool of teams shrink to like 2 or 3 by the time.
Also, by the time you get to week 10, teams do start to get more desperate, and so they're willing to do dumber things.
I mean, we saw the Rams were willing to give up their 2nd round pick this year to just move up in the draft last year, and that's why the Panthers have a 2nd round pick. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't think that Deontay Johnson,
because they don't have a 2nd round. Like I told you, I need a second. I need a second. Even if it's just 1 second, I would take that for him.
The Rams 2nd round pick.
Okay, well, give him another one because they should have 2.
Look, if you can get a 2nd for Deontay Johnson, I will back off. I think you are more likely looking at a 3rd or 4th. And that's not based on talent. That's based on market.
I would consider it for a 3rd. For sure. Because like those first 3 rounds are so important, in my opinion. I think once you get to like 5 and later, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not saying you can't get players there, so don't save me your stories. I understand. I've seen them too. I know the success. I know where Tom Brady was drafted. I get it. Okay, guys.
I was trying to think of a funny way to bring that up.
So many starters you get in those first 3 or 4 rounds, especially, but even 5, you get some, and I just think those are so important to have a lot of picks, and the Panthers don't have a lot of like money room right now to be like signing a bunch of free agents. They have to rebuild through the draft, and they need picks to do that. And so that's part of where my rationale is coming from too. Like if you can get a pick from something where the pick didn't exist before, and it's one of those important picks, and you were going to get nothing for it otherwise, like I get it. Like, I know it would make my team much more unwatchable. I see it too. But at the same time, like, are you building this offense around Andy Dalton? Like, you're not doing that either. Yeah. You know what I mean? So in a sense, like, it's not like they're not already rebooting. It's not like they're not already in the process of doing that. I mean,
and that's fair, right? And this is one of the things that has been really frustrating, and maybe why I should come off of my you have to get real value is like, Jesus, every time they have the opportunity to get XL some more reps, those reps go to Jalen Coker. Right? Like there is a certain element of not knowing, and this is not on Canales. This is just the organization in general. There is a real element of not knowing what the hell we're doing out here.
Here's the other part of it, right? Like you mentioned that, like, how can you say you're rebooting? Except they will never say that. Yeah. Like when does David Tepper ever say that? Yeah. I agree with you. Because we can see and we know what they have to do. But Tepper is the one who has constantly gone out chasing these like band-aids, and it's like at a certain point you have to understand, like, this is not the way you build your team from a long-term perspective. You have to build through the draft, bro.
And so, so we have had a lot of conversations about what is reality versus what Dave Tepper's perception is.
Right.
I would certainly hope
that's a mystery.
He recognizes that all of us see this as reset after reset after reset and not fixes to the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But I also think some of this is still rebounding from, like, again, like the trade itself and the fitter regime towards the end and all of that.
So I was talking about this on the radio in South Carolina this morning. Is we talk about the trade, and the trade is totally worth talking about, the one to move up to get Bryce in 2023. But remember, all of those picks were part of a running tally of the number of picks that have been given away to solve the quarterback problem that goes well before Bryce.
Exactly. So
I
it's
mean,
an
what are we talking about?
accumulation.
11 picks at that point that were sunk into 3 quarterbacks?
I feel sick.
Well, let's take a short break before we make you even worse with defensive discussions. Lauren Brownlow, OG Fans, is our premium subscription service. It is where you and Joe Ovius talk about ACC football and soon basketball as well every single Sunday morning. It is where you write about the Carolina Panthers. It is where you write about the things that catch your eye in pop culture. It is $13 a month. You can sign up by going to ogtrianglemedia.com. Exclusive podcasts, exclusive written content from everybody in the OG Triangle Media family. Sign up today at ogtrianglemedia.com for OG fans. Lauren Brownlow, did you see Jaycee Horn's conversation with reporters after the game on Sunday?
I didn't see this, actually.
So he said exactly what you said in your OG Fans column for Mondays, that the offense is doing enough to win games. The offense cannot win, or the team cannot win with only the offense performing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like the offense made mistakes for sure. Like they the turnover was a killer, especially after the defense had gotten stops. That was just a killer. But this team, they didn't get to where they are by playing complementary football. Now, did they?
Right.
So,
that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think the offense has been good necessarily.
No,
they certainly have been
scoring
better.
Enough points,
yes,
100%.
They certainly have been better, and they are doing enough of their job to be successful.
Completely agree there. I just wanted to get that out of the way before people are like, well, they had those. I know, I saw it too. And they had some red zone stuff that I was like, come on. But again, it's like all of the pressure is on them, and everybody knows that.
Right.
From the defense to everybody on the offense knows, and I think that becomes a lot. You see it when it's flipped as well. When the defense is the one that has to hang in for play after play after play. We saw that last year when the offense couldn't move the ball at all. The defense eventually just sort of was like, Well,
you've talked about this a lot, is the fact that there was not enough money to address all the problems this past offseason.
So they concentrated on offense to help Bryce.
And look, the investments.
Which was smart.
Yes, agreed. And the investments they made have been paying off.
Yes.
Even as the rest of the offensive line, as the edges started to crumble a bit this week, the middle of the offensive line still had one of the best weeks they've had all year long.
Yes.
Deontay Johnson, since Andy Dalton has come in, has proven to
fantastic.
Be the best target available to them. Jaycee Horn was asked point blank, what is the issue? And he said, quote, "It ain't about the scheme, it's about the players. Players make plays, so our defensive players got to get better, myself included." Kudos to Jaycee Horn for
he's right.
owning up to it. He's not wrong. And I think one of the things that I'm going to soften,
although they can't get that much, I mean,
that's the thing.
A lot of them are trying their best.
I'm going to soften the criticism I had of Ejiro Evero a few weeks ago, which is this defense cannot do even the most basic things well. It is astounding that they found everybody making an NFL paycheck.
That's what I'm saying.
Do the basic things well on defense and got them all on the same team.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the bad news bears out there. I mean, it's like literally, who was it that dragged them like literally 9 yards?
Algiers.
I'm being trolled by the universe, by the way. This just rotation of BYU running backs that are never the number one back, tearing my team a new asshole. I'm so over it. I hate it here. Why can't Bijan Robinson just be the one doing that? Is that too much to ask? Why can't it be Alvin Kamara? It's got to be Taysom Hill. Get out of here. Yeah, universe.
It was crazy to watch that game. I put
nothing
this in
against BYU necessarily.
No, sure. I mean, look, it is. Like, they are, I believe, the university of like college football folk heroes, right? Like you think back to Ty Detmer.
Oh yeah.
The strangest Heisman winner of all time, like strangest stat line, not personal. I'm sure there's someone much stranger than
the
Ty
Detmers are pretty strange.
No, I agree. I'm saying that I don't want to plant my flag in the sand that he's definitely the strangest. It is disheartening, but what is disheartening is not the fact that Tyler Algiers will drag a bunch of guys. It's that it's not unexpected.
Yeah.
Right. It's that when you are playing a team like the Bengals.
It was a little bit unexpected for me. Like I was sitting there just like looking incredulously at my screen. Like, are you all okay?
Yeah.
Like
when I say not unexpected,
like children trying to tackle their father.
Yes. When I say not unexpected, I don't mean like, oh yeah, I knew Tyler Algier could do that. I mean, when he did it, it was like, you were of course he did.
Of course it was this defense that would let that guy do that.
Right.
Yes, I agree with you on that. But I was still sitting there like, really?
Are you concerned about the defense? I pointed this out on Twitter during the game. The last two games have started exactly the same. And I wonder what sort of emotional effect that has, where the offense comes out, they score. The last two games have started exactly the same. First drive is promising, but it doesn't go anywhere and they end up punting. But they hold the opponent to a punt. Then they come out and the offense just tears down the field and scores. And the defense immediately gives up.
The defense is like, that looked fun for that offense. Let's see what it looks like when we give them a turn. It's very nice.
It really does make me wonder what the emotional effect of that is on the Panthers offense to see that they cannot even count on their defense to let the score hold up for very long.
Well, and it's like, it reminded me of the Bengals game too, again.
Yeah.
In the sense that like, when you heard that Atlanta was getting it out of halftime, I was like, this game's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a wild thing to say about an NFL game.
Yeah.
Like, but that's where we are.
No, listen, I said this to Taylor Doll on her Bears podcast when I went on to preview that game. Like, it is so disheartening to be playing bad teams and knowing the touchdown behind, like, it's over.
And by the way, I was right. Like, they scored.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's like, I don't know. And it's just, it's hard. I mean, look, they're doing their best. Genuinely. Maybe the tackling part.
That's what makes me so angry, Lauren.
I know.
I get it. They are doing their best. How did we find the collection of everybody who this is their best?
I don't know. Well, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to harp on the Brooks pick. Okay. I'm really genuinely not, but you don't think they could have gotten someone that might be starting or helping right now?
It is. Look, I think Brooks will end up being pretty good for this team, but to your point, like, I don't know that is what we needed as much as we needed a pass rusher.
Like, even if you're trying to help Bryce out, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You see what Chuba? He played great. Are y'all okay? Like, why do you need to do this right now?
No, I mean, like, to your point, what would have helped Bryce out, and in theory at the time, right before we do what we know now.
He has no defense either.
I was about to say, it doesn't help him if he's not on the field, right? Like, this team cannot get opposing offenses off the field.
Well, sometimes they do quickly, but usually it's not, which is also makes it worse. It's like this just methodical march downfield and just these 6, 7, 8, 9 yard chunks. And I'm just like sick. I'm sick. I'm just like, this is not, just let them score. Like, just end it already. Rip the Band-Aid off.
This feels like, Lauren, that I am I'm breaking up with you when I say this. I want you to know the problem is not you. I love you and love doing this show with you very much. It is so miserable talking about this team every week.
It sucks. It sucks. Like, I stared at my computer screen for like 10 minutes after the game ended. And I'm just like, again, like, what do I even say that's new?
Right.
Because it literally felt like this weird, like, mishmash of like 3 or 4 of the last like 6 games.
Yeah. I was reflecting on this. It's funny you say that because I was reflecting on this after the game we started this podcast before last season because, Joe Ovius was adamant about like, there is excitement. It feels like a new era, whether or not it works out perfectly. It is the page is finally turned and here is the franchise quarterback, the new coach, the competent coach, et cetera, et cetera.
I didn't let myself feel because I knew better, but
I mean, what did that last? A week?
Maybe. Yeah. It's
and yet we're still doing this podcast.
And again, like, it's frustrating because, like you said, like, they fixed a lot of things on offense, and I still think those fixes can stay. Like, sure. I love what Deontay's brought to the table, but in all likelihood, no matter what happens, he's gone.
Yeah.
So do I think, like, based on what the pieces they evaluated this offseason to get and bring in, like, do I think they can find some? Yes, I do. And so I feel confident about that. I feel confident in Xavier Leggett. I'm finally said it right. Mm-hmm. Thank God.
That's why I've just shortened to XL. I'm never going to get it
right. Yeah, maybe I don't know. I almost call him Dollar Bill because of his favorite celebration.
Sure.
It's fine. He's shown a lot of promise. I'm happy with where he's at, and I think Mingo can go. No offense. I'm sure he's a lovely person, but
Lauren, I think that the best thing for Dave Tepper and thus for Panthers fans going forward, take whatever you can get for Bryce. Just end the fallacy that they will ever switch back, that this will ever get righted.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
my philosophy on this has been, it's the same as with Deontay, to be honest. It's like, well, what's the future moving ahead with this person? Whereas I can see, it's like I'm on The Bachelor or something. I can see a future with Chuba.
Yeah.
He's here for the right reasons.
That's right. Not just the zip line.
That's right. Not just for the zip line.
Did you know there were snipers at the game on Sunday?
I feel like there's a joke to be made there somewhere, but I can't find it. I've been trying since I saw that.
Yeah.
And I can't. Nothing that's in good taste, certainly.
I had the exact same problem because I immediately wrote down, then how were the Panthers allowed to walk out alive? And I realized, nope, don't want to put that on.
Oh, no, don't do that. Yeah. I was going to, because there's really not like a good defensive joke to make there.
Right.
Yeah.
It is crazy to me that we are at this point 2 years into, or a year and a half, I guess, into what was supposed to be the new era. And the biggest story coming out of the game is, well, it turns out there's snipers in every
was
Panthers
there
game.
A politician there or something?
No, apparently they are at every game. It's just a matter of where they're positioned from week to week, that they were visible this time.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
Because, why?
No, I agree with you. But again,
is it to protect David Tepper?
God, I hope so.
Oh, I do too. Wouldn't that be the best? Is if he was like, fans are pretty mad at me. We've gotten some, which, by the way, because people are crazy, I'm sure they've gotten threats before, but no one's killing him. I at least got it. I hope not. I certainly hope not. I hope he hasn't gotten any threats, but I feel like we would have heard about that.
Yeah. I mean, I hope nobody is.
Well, people are crazy, Demetri.
I hope nobody's following through. Well, I certainly hope he knows how unhappy.
Yeah, a lot of people like to make threats to make themselves feel
right,
important or whatever.
They like to stop at a local restaurant that they feel like has offended them and walk in and flip hats off of managers' heads and thretten to fight them.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people like to do that. Who could we possibly?
Who are we to judge? Everybody has a kink, right? But no, I don't. I don't really get it. I genuinely don't understand what they're for. Is this what if a flasher comes on the field?
Lauren, he never wants to give Billy Joel a reason to second guess coming to Charlotte.
Oh my God. Yeah, for a concert, I would understand it way more, actually.
Yeah, but that's part of the show.
It depends on which show, right? But it's for this, because even if Tepper's worried about that, which if that's true, I would hate to hear that, but also wouldn't he just have bodyguard station? I mean, I don't.
Okay, so here's the other thing is I just thought about this. What if there was a politician there and it was look, this is the standard Charlotte Metro Police answer. We're always on the lookout. You just might have seen blah, blah, blah. Don't you feel how bad are the Panthers that the politician would not want to acknowledge they were there amongst the people?
I mean, yeah.
We're in an election year to find out that your congressman went and gave money to Dave Tepper and the Carolina Panthers.
I'd be embarrassed.
Would be very disappointing.
I'd be embarrassed to be seen. It's embarrassing. I've seen the crowds. I've seen and heard. I mean, to have no offense to Falcons fans, but okay, to have them outnumber you.
Yeah, agreed.
That's embarrassing because that's not necessarily a place where they're I don't feel like Atlanta fans are transplanted around
Lauren,
as much.
I have been to a lot of Falcons games because my college roommate's family had season tickets.
They are usually in the same boat as us.
I have never been to a game where there were more Falcons fans than the visiting team.
And there has been more Panthers fans in the past, but we're a ways from that at this point. And so I'm just who would they be shooting? That's don't they have a literal thing in the front to
what a
to make sure you can't. You're not allowed to carry a weapon in.
No, you're not allowed to carry a weapon in.
I mean, I guess maybe they think someone would sneak something through in their clear bag.